to the show. It's still Good Morning Anambra here on ABS TV, and the topic we'll be looking at today is fuel subsidy removal, the implications. Of course, we have some guests seated right here in the studio with us this morning to help us talk about the implications. What actually is this removal? What is it all about? What impact is it going to have on the masses? And also, if actually the money for the subsidy is being removed, what are we looking at? What are the things we are looking at, where the money will be channeled? These and many more will be discussing this morning on the show. Good morning, Anambra. My name is Chidimma Orangwa. And of course, I have my colleague right here with me in the studio this morning, Ajula Chuku.
Sit down, relax, and then let us delve into this fuel subsidy, and let us even know what fuel subsidy actually is. Thank you.
All right, and our guests this morning are Engineer Bertrand Asibe, a petroleum and gas engineer. He's a former refinery exploration and lead engineer, gas project NMPC. He is currently the Chief Executive Officer, Bevic Gas Plant Limited and Bevic Water Plant, Port Harcourt. Glad to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. You're welcome.
Okay, and we also have as a guest this morning Obinna Jesse Badolu, life coach, and also Jesse Coaching. Okay, life coach with Jesse Coaching Services, right? Good morning, glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Anambra.
All right, just like I said earlier, I mean, this is not the first time we are hearing about removal of fuel subsidy. And if you ask me, I'm kind of confused what it's all about, because we've the price of petroleum PMS have been going up and down, and we don't even know when they have removed the subsidy or if they've not removed the subsidy. But I want us to start this morning by talking about what this fuel subsidy removal is all about. When it's being removed, what are we even expecting as Nigerians? Let's start with you, Engineer Bertrand.
Thank you. Fuel subsidy in absolute terms means selling a product or service below its actual cost price for the benefit of the consumers.
Okay.
So in case of fuel here, the cost of fuel production, the cost of producing a fuel is being subsidized so that it can easily be accessed, purchased by individuals needing it. Okay? But in case of Nigeria, it's a little more complicated because the way it's being handled, making it looking fluider and opaque. So we have to be very careful describing it. So as a matter of fact, fuel subsidy is subsidizing the price so that it can be reachable, subsidizing the price below the actual cost of production.
Okay.
So, and the reason for that is to make it available, easily available to common man. Thank you.
Was this the idea of fuel subsidy? Was it enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution, bearing in mind the discovery of oil and then the establishment of 4 refineries in Nigeria? Because we have the oil, we are not buying it from outside. We have it here, we're refining it here. Then all of a sudden, our refineries are comatose, non-functional. And the government is now telling us that in order for us to get that fuel that we have to subsidize it. To a layman, please, can you break this down to how it connects with helping the common man in Nigeria, based on the fact that we are producers?
And of course, it said that it's complicated in Nigeria case. So we want to know how complicated it is.
That's breaking it down to a layman for understanding.
Yeah. There are 2 segments of it. When you are subsidizing what you produce. Yeah. In the past, we produce fuel. When I mean fuel, kerosene, petrol, diesel, and the rest of them. Okay? We produce it in Nigeria. We even export. So at that time, Nigeria was like having an oil boom. So there was this attempt to make it cheaper for people, and it was subsidized. So the cost of production was not even counting. In short, it was being run by a corporation. NMPC was a corporation. And an issue of profit is not emphasized, but service to the people. Based on that, the idea of subsidy came in, and they were on until a time came when they no longer produce this fuel. They now import it. And as you are importing, it's now subject, the value, to international market. Dollar price, exchange rate, and then the cost of production itself. Okay, the equipment, personnel that do some of these things. As you are importing them, those people will charge you as per cost of production in their own country. And then you importing, will pay them in dollars at the prevailing exchange rate. You can see there are a lot of factors contributing to high costs of fuel. So government, in order to still maintain within the scope we have been buying, okay, we have to subsidize. But no matter the way they may have subsidized it, the cost still seem very high for us, okay, because the contributory factors are enormous. One, we no longer produce. Cost of transportation is there, foreign exchange is there, and then, you know, every country has its own value and payments. You pay your workers at your own rate. What you pay somebody in China to produce a shoe is not what you pay some same person to produce the same shoe in London. Okay? Labor wages vary. So wherever we are importing from, the labor wage will have impacts on what we are importing. So all this made fuel importation very, very expensive, more than what we have. So in order for the government to remain and sustain itself, it has to increase and subsidize. It has to, the price goes up, okay? The price totally went up. Then for us to be able to buy it in actual fact at its real cost, government made an attempt to bring down the price and subsidize it.
All right. Let's come to you, Jesse. You know, yesterday in the papers we read about the removal of fuel subsidy, and NLC, they were telling government that this can actually increase the suffering of the masses, since the main or the major reason for the subsidy is to make it accessible to even the common man in the street. But then again, some school of thought has come up with the idea that the removal of fuel subsidy is okay. It's going to be beneficial to us as a nation. But then again, these other people are saying that it's going to be detrimental to the common man on the street. So I want us to talk about it. How beneficial will this be on the nation if we remove this subsidy?
Okay, just like what we've already said earlier as regards to subsidy, you know, when I was trying to check this subsidy, I found out that this thing was done in 1970.
Yes.
And it was not only fuel was subsidized. They subsidized health, they subsidized education, and many other things. And if you also check, you find out that from 2006 to 2020, we spent about 24 point something billion on fuel subsidy. And only in 2018, we spent about 2 point something billion, meaning that it took us 16 years to spend 20 something billion. And as it is now, it's going to take us less than 10 years to spend the same 24 point something billion, showing that the cost is just like the factors is trying to highlight that is actually causing that increase. To me, I feel there's a lot of benefits. The question is, who are the people saying it's going to affect the common man? Because every time we talk about fuel subsidy, there are a class of people that say it's going to affect the common man, and they are fighting for the common man. But if you look at it very well, I don't think that particular insight. I think they are trying to incite the common man to feel that this is not for their own good, but it's just to protect their own. Because some of all these things they've removed most of the subsidies that they added. That's where national care came out from. They've removed most of those subsidies, but for they've not removed it. Who are benefiting? Who are people benefiting from this fuel subsidy? You understand? So this thing, like recently, last week they told us fuel is going to be 700 and something. What factors, what yardstick did you use to get that? Have you also
and just
told,
yesterday they said when they
have you also
it will
told the
be
common man,
480 or 380 or 400
have
naira.
you also told the common man that the money you are saving, I was checking Dangote's refinery, that is going to do about 650 barrels a day. And 650 barrels a day, that Dangote refinery, they said is an investment of 25 billion. So you've not told Nigerians that if we can be able to channel this money that is given to very few people, because this money is entering into the hand of very few people. Yeah. If we can channel this money in trying to make our refineries very good, we want to assure you that even the importation will stop. Now, if we are refining here, we don't need to start talking about the global markets.
Yes.
Because we are bringing it here, the raw material is here. And also, not only the raw material is here, we're also one of the biggest consumer of fuel. So it means that there are more to this fuel subsidy that they are not telling us. And yes, most times, whenever they want to talk about it, there are a class of people who want to make the masses feel that they are fighting for their interests.
No, you know, in natural sense, why it seems that they are fighting for the masses is that there is no increase in salaries, nothing. So if you are buying fuel, for example, let's use the normal cost, 160, for example, and then they remove the fuel subsidy and it's sold at 400 naira.
Do you really think it's going to be sold for 400 naira? That's what they told you. I want you to understand something. They are telling us it will be sold for 400. Have it not been sold for 400 naira in Nigeria? Did we die?
And there was no subsidy.
Do you really think it's going to be sold for 400 naira? If we're going to get our raw material here and our refineries are working already, Dangote have his own almost ready, and we have already a refinery that just needs more touch and they will start functioning.
Then again,
so if we refine in this place, do you think it's going to get to 400 and something?
Of course not.
It's refining, but it will take us like more time to refurbish our refineries.
How long did it take Dangote? How long did it take Dangote to make his own refinery? When did he start talking about it? So everything is about money. Yeah. If the money is there, and if Nigeria is spending as much as 2.something billion in a year on fuel subsidy, what stops them from getting there? The structures are already there, everything is already there. You just feel one of the things.
Like they said, the refinery in Kaduna is obsolete. You understand? And so
I want to correct something,
yeah,
please. Please. Refineries don't die. Okay. You keep maintaining it. That's why we have what you call rehabilitation. Turnaround maintenance. Mm-hmm. In India, they have a refinery that is 120 years old. It's still running very effectively. So sure, things don't go bad. You keep on changing them, replacing them, and keep going. You don't say what we call as the complex of a refinery depends the way to modify it, whether to be producing more of PMS and diesel or to be producing more of kerosene, aviation kerosene. That's the complex. Apart from that, refineries are the same, right? So when you keep maintaining your refinery, keep producing. If you want, you can expand increase the volume you refine per day. Okay, scalability in refineries is a running machinery. You can scale it up or scale it down. We can remodify it, but keeps running.
So what's wrong with Nigeria's refinery? 4 of them, for that matter.
I said earlier that the issue of Nigeria is very opaque, fluid, ambiguous, and shapeless. It can't be really defined. So what Nigeria needs to tell us the truth is honesty, transparency, everything will be clear. Okay? Nigeria's case is an isolated case from the rest of the world. When we talk of subsidy in economics, there is a reason, okay, for that. When you subsidize a thing, there is a preponderance increase or use for it in another beneficial social welfare. If Nigeria really wants to subsidize, leave fuel alone, subsidize education, subsidize hospital, make hospital, education, food, agriculture available. Why must it be just refineries? As a matter of fact, we have no reason bringing that language, what do you call it? Subsidy. If we be sincere enough to revamp our 4 refineries, what business do we have importing fuel? They should explain to Nigerians why do they bend importing fuel and each time hammering on subsidy. Okay, currently, the subsidy value is 2.56 trillion. That's what you are telling me we are paying, government is paying. That money, if it is truly that, and could be utilized, and we assume, we decide that, yes, this money could be saved and utilized in some other areas. Specify the areas of investment. Tell us the economic risks. Tell us how it would, the viability of such project, not just jumping into any project. Tomorrow, tell us stories. Do the economics, run the economics of such projects. And Nigerians are very tenacious people. They are resilient. But most often, Nigerians tend to be docile, and they capitalize on this to rob Nigeria of their benefits. So what I'm saying is that subsidy is a special economic application that, as an emergency, an urgent, as an emergency, as a very special economic factor to keep a nation going. But here, we don't have need for that. Yet, we are paying from our nose in the name of subsidy. Okay? So, this 750 they are proposing, if we go into it, what could be the possible impact? That's where the real problem is. We are talking of energy provision. Energy, we talk of industries. You have to pay higher. Pay for your energy generation to run your industry, because our NEPA, or what do you call it, okay, is not reliable. This transcends to farm implements. This transcends to markets, okay, transportation, energy provision in all facets of life will definitely rise by the same percentage. Now, my question is, how would the common man, which they want to help, survive the country? It will impact on virtually everything, not just everybody, but on everything. Our propensity will come down to zero, right? Our standard of life will come down to zero. Poverty, the same. So it's going to impact very adversely on the people.
Okay, so in other words, Jesse, if we should consider the removal of fuel subsidy in our country, in Nigeria today, what are the factors? What are the things we need to look into? What are the things we need to, like, say, we need to make better so that it won't affect us adversely?
I think the things we need to look into are basically is our refinery, number one, because if we remove fuel subsidy, it means that government will no longer be helping.
Palliative for it, or how not to?
Well,
we'll still get to that. Let's just give his point.
Once they do that, one of the things we need to do is to also find a way to reduce cost of producing this fuel. So, and the only way you can do that is by looking inwards. Nigeria have everything. Nigeria have the market. Nigeria have the raw material. So we need to look inward and find a way. Just like what he said, everything's all about honesty. Everything's all about honesty. I remember during Goodluck Jonathan's regime, when he wanted to stop importation, there are some steps he took that made this thing to Nigerians gradually stop doing importation. And what did he do? He only did something. If you are bringing in a finished good into this country, your tax is 30%. If you are bringing goods that is not fully built, is on CKD, they call it CKD, your tax is 5%. So by the time you come into the market, you find out that you cannot be able to compete. You understand? And one thing you should know is this, what controls the market is competition, not government. That's what controls the market. So if it's competition that controls the market and government leaves the people to sell according to the way they get it, you also find out that you may think it's going to go as high as it is, but competition will still make it come down. So if people start finding a way, you find out that we have a way all the while. It's just because we left the government to do what they're supposed to do. So honesty is number one thing. And then another thing is finding a way to look inward and get things within to start working so that we can bring down the cost of producing this fuel, because we have everything.
Okay.
Recently, there were discovery of oil in Nasarawa State. You understand? And there's even the one of Chad Basin. So when you're talking about oil in Nigeria, in Benue too, there is oil abundant in this place, and yet Nigerians tend to put everything, all their eggs in one basket. If you were to advise the Nigerian government on the best way to go about this subsidy, what would be your take that it will benefit both the government and the masses?
Look, see, what you are asking a question in a normal balance. The point is that Nigeria is not refining. We are talking about subsidizing refined products, white products, not crude oil. Get it?
But we have the refineries that we can make.
And they are not working. So what you are asking us is not applicable in Nigeria's situation, because we don't refine.
Because we don't refine doesn't mean that we can't refine.
Yes, we can.
It's all about the will of the government.
The absolute solution to subsidy is in-country production. That is absolute solution. In-country production, because at that point, transportation cost is knocked off. Foreign exchange is knocked off by a very large cost of production, because what I pay you as a Nigerian in refineries working is not the same thing I will pay an expatriate or a foreigner. As a matter of fact, if I'm paying you 100,000 as an expert, Nigerians earn 20 to 25 naira thousand. So that is why it is. The expatriate will always earn higher. So if it's an in-country production and availability, the issue of subsidy will virtually fizzle out. Because we'll be able to pay for the cost of production. Because it will be so low that we don't need any help. We'll be able to pay for it. Such subsidy should be channeled to other areas. Yes.
So it's just the government lacking the will to
the problem we have is government not deciding politically, morally to do the right thing. The motive behind the scarcity of fuel in the country is solely on government. Today, but one good thing is that it's driving Nigerians into other areas of energy source. Most of Nigerians going solar, wind, and the rest of them. So energy transition is taking place quietly in Nigeria, okay? Apart from fossil energy, right? So everything behoves on governments to follow the path, the right path, to avert this so much greatness, because it's so large, because it is being imported. We have Nigeria, today's production is 1.9 million barrels a day, right? And then this man needs 600 and something thousand barrels a day. Dangote. The rest of Nigerian refining needs about 425,000 barrels per day. If you add it, Nigeria alone is sufficient to handle crude oil need. We don't even need to export, because we have the population that will consume it at a better price.
Just like the last scarcity we had, we understand that there was no vessel in the country, that most refineries were not functional, most depots were not selling product. There was no product in it. That was what caused the scarcity. If you are refining here, what are you talking about? Then also, there's something I want us to look at, because this subsidy we are talking of is actually done in different levels. People that sell at different fuel stations, that dispense by different places, they also have their own subsidy. When you buy from places like Lagos and you bring it down to the east, there's an amount of money government pays you.
Equalization.
Now, most of those money, it's not everybody that buys from Lagos that government pays that money. And sometimes that money doesn't come immediately that thing happens. You still find out that those people that still buy this product still add their transportation fee and still sell their stuff. So you find out that that particular reason why government is paying that money.
Is that the reason why this filling station is selling 300 naira, this filling station is selling 350, and not aggregated uniform price?
That one in particular, exactly. But that shouldn't be within the state. The one within the state now, already price was high before, and now price is going down. Every single week, price is going down. So let's say you're able to get at a particular amount, and you are still selling it, price goes down the upper week. So it's either you stick to that your price, or you choose to go down at loss. And in oil business, if you go down at loss, the margin is always big. If you remove 10 naira from a truck, you're already losing about 1 million naira, if not more than. So these are some of the factors at the moment. Very soon, everybody will be selling at a uniform price. But that Lagos is selling to something. These people are selling 200. These people are selling 240. The transportation, all those logistics involved could be the one that is causing it. Because some people that are selling in the south is also getting from Lagos, and they have to run the transport. And government that is telling is paying, is not also paying immediately. Sometimes it may take like 6 months. Sometimes it may take 3 months. Sometimes it takes a long time before you see. So you don't bank on what the government is saying. You still put that money. So the masses are still paying that money. At the end of the day, after then, government will still pay them. So they're not relying on what the government is paying them. They're also relying on what the masses are going to pay. So they still add it for the masses at the end of the day.
All right. We still go back to you, but then we want to go to the streets and get a few people's pulse on what we are talking about, the implication of the subsidy removal. Let's hear what they have to say.
Issue of tackling subsidy removal. The first thing we should repair the refineries. 3 major refineries we have. If we are able to repair 2 out of the 3, the cost of fuel will come down, and we shall gain a lot from other materials being extracted from that very crude oil we sent outside. With this, other things should be added, but this is the most important aspect of what we should do, so that fuel will get down to the common man's price.
Basically, removing the subsidy is something that is essential for our economy. Yes, I know there will be difficult times, but it's necessary, because in the sense that there's a fraud in the system. You understand? There's a fraud in the system, and since I think that was when that was the previous administration.
Issue of tackling subsidy removal. The first thing we should repair the refineries. 3 major refineries we have. If we are able to repair 2 out of the 3, the cost of fuel will come down, and we shall gain a lot from other materials being extracted from that very crude oil we sent outside. With this, other things should be added, but this is the most important aspect of what we should do, so that fuel will get down to the common man's price.
Basically, removing the subsidy is something that is essential for our economy. Yes, I know there will be difficult times, but it's necessary, because in the sense that there's a fraud in the system. You understand? There's a fraud in the system, and since I think that was when that was the previous administration, Jonathan administration, where they had to remove it, and we had those things, and they brought in, was it Shopee or something, for the subsidy something, and we didn't manage those things properly. So I believe that if we remove it effectively, and we can use those money for other parts in the economy, we have a lot of things: security, health, infrastructure development that we need to put those money into. So those are just the things. So yes, it would have a hard brunt on us, because our economy is fuel based. Will I say fuel is really, really essential, because it affects everything that we do. But it's just a brunt that even if we don't do it now, it's still waiting for us in the future. So the best thing is that we do that, we remove the subsidy, and I think that should ginger us to build our own refinery. Because honestly, in a country of over 200 million people, and we don't have a refinery, we are jokers, man.
When maybe our refineries gradually start working, maybe to either 80 to 100% capacity, then we know we can start refining our crude oil on our own. Maybe gradually the price of fuel will now come down.
I think it's okay to be removed. And there is no way that we remove it without affecting either positive or negative. It will favor some, while it will hinder some. I could remember when I was in school, then fuel was 65 naira, while kerosene was 50 naira. That's what I used for my school fees then. I sold kerosene to sponsor myself in school. But after then, they said they want to remove subsidy, and I increased it from 50 naira to 100. Now, I don't know whether I will say official price 200, I pay 230. And still yet, they are still lying to us that they have already removed the subsidy. Why not? They didn't remove anything.
About the removal of fuel subsidy and the implications. We heard it from Nigerians that speaking, the common man, the people that were actually meant to benefit from the so-called fuel subsidy removal. But the implication is being felt widespread all over Nigeria. Well, we still have the heads in the studio that will tell us more on the importance and the implications of either the fuel to be removed or for us to continue maintaining the subsidy. Well, Engineer Bertrand, let me come back to you. You heard what most of Nigerians said. Some people even said, somebody especially said, he doesn't even know the current pump price now. If fuel is still existing, I mean the subsidy is still existing or is not. Nigerians of diverse, will I say, ethnicity and everything, we are all connected by this fuel subsidy. The implication is what we are facing right now. Based on what Nigerians are saying out there, what do you think is the way forward for us?
The way forward is if we can, the operators of the economic system should apply a little honesty and transparency in what they are doing. I think it can work out. After all, subsidy is an economic measure which is most often applied under emergency situation. It's not a normal thing, okay? If you are subsidizing, actually, let me come. He said what we buy for now is between 300, 350, depends, it just varies. Why is this so? Because it's not being controlled. And why do you want to bring in subsidy? To remove subsidy is because you want public participation in oil business so that when they buy their crude at a normal prevailing price, they will refine and sell and make their profit at that. But the question there is, for a long time, many people have been given licenses to go on to start refining and buying crude. The crude is there for them to purchase at. But the question is, why are they up till now who don't have a reasonable number of people into refining so that we have enough supplies? And when there is supply and competitiveness, it will naturally bring down the cost of fuel, okay? But we are not thinking in that way. This is one of the measures to handle this subsidy issue. Second thing is for you to remove subsidy, what is telling us we are now going to pay higher than what we are. That money we are going to pay higher, what do you plan to do with it? Is there any feasibility study carried out? This is what we are going to use it for. And this is going to be the possible benefit at long last, at least so that you can get the buy-in of the masses. Even if they are paying, they know it's going to be a temporary thing and eventually it will stop. The subsidy will, be restored, okay, or removed, or it will just work on its own naturally at a prevailing price, which will be affordable. Affordable in the sense that we have revamped our refineries. They are all working, producing. And modular refineries and private refineries are working, all of them producing. Then we have surplus fuel. And when there is surplus supply, demand will do what? Come down. And the price will equally come down. And we start thinking of exporting. So this is just the solution to it. So, okay? So all this rigmarole we are doing, we have not hit it at the...
Yeah. There's one thing you said, and it's very, very cardinal. Honesty of government.
Yes.
Honesty of government.
This is a very strong...
Still on that, honesty of government, because that's where I want to come in, okay? I'm coming to you, Jesse. Talking about, of course, this present administration, they're about to leave in office, and we are going to have a new administration.
So we're talking of high price of fuel. There are two things. One is our spending power, purchasing power. How much does a Nigerian worker earn, a civil servant earn in Nigeria? How much is it? Because when we are talking as cost, it's a relative term. In Nigeria, 500 naira per liter is high, but outside Nigeria, it's a peanut. Okay, other countries, they sell as high as 1,000 naira per liter, and they buy it comfortably. The reason is their earnings are far higher. Nigerian here earns 60,000, 50,000 a month. Minimum wage is 30,000. But other countries of the world, countries of Africa, I'm not talking of outside Africa.
Yeah, Africa.
Okay, Nigeria stands the lowest income earner. And then how can you subject us to such amount of money? So if you want Nigerians again to abide by the so-called 700 and this, please touch our income. Let an average Nigerian earn at least 300,000 a month.
I think that's where the people that are conversing for
then we'll be in a better pedestal to face our challenges by when the subsidy is removed. And not at this poverty-prone status. You want to add more for me. There's no way we can understand what you are saying because you are simply sending a death sentence on us. So we can't understand it.
Okay, I think we have a caller here. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello? Hello, good morning.
Turn down the volume on your television set and talk to us. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Chicks from Ebenebe, I think you need to change your location and call us back, please. The network, it's fluctuating. Okay, let's come back to you, Jesse. I'm talking about government, the present administration leaving office, and then you know that government is a continuum, and most times when we have the handover notes and all that, and then some of these things they have seen, the people that are going to take over, they've watched, they have seen so many things that are playing out, people that are already benefiting from this subsidy. Do you think that the incoming administration will have that willpower to for the removal of this subsidy, and also from what he just said, that making life better, adding to the minimum wage and salaries of the common man to make this whole process, not too stressful on the common man?
Well, the thing there is, just like what he said about honesty. Anything government wants to do, they actually engage experts. It's experts that they are going to engage that will help them look at, okay, the implication of these things and how they can be able to mitigate it, you understand? So, and I'm sure that any government that is honest and engage the right hands to be able to find solutions to this will definitely do well and will be able to give us the result that we want. We've talked about this for a very long time and we'll keep talking about it. So anyone that wants to bring a lasting solution to it will do that.
Okay, please hold your thoughts. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell us your name and your location.
I'm a Vincent calling from Kaduna.
How is Kaduna this morning?
Wow.
Kaduna is cool.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a Vincent calling from Kaduna.
Go ahead.
Kaduna is cool. Yeah, I support the first subsidy removal because I support the first subsidy removal because the big men are the ones benefiting from subsidy. But what are we benefiting from first subsidy? You find out that when they bought this well at the cheaper rate in the country, there's not all the traffic at the various filling stations, they will take it to the outside country. And at the same time, they will make it at the depot. They will sell it there, more costly. Government is the one that loses. And it's affecting the poor people. So if they remove the subsidy, it's better. Let's rest. Thank you very much, my brothers and sisters.
Okay, just a sister. Thank you so much for calling from Kaduna. Of course, okay, you want to add something to what he said?
Yes.
Or react to it? Go ahead.
What he said actually is a fact, but sometimes the way we look at it is misgiving, because fuel subsidy does not benefit or benefit only the bourgeois or the big men, as he said it. It affects everybody, because in filling stations, I want to transport an item from one point to the other. I will buy a fare of 300,000 or 300 naira. Instead of buying 300 naira, I will now be required to buy 700 naira in order to meet up. And then I'll have to add it to the cost of transportation. Whoever that is I am transporting it for, we add it into his item, and the cost of product becomes higher. Big man, small man buys tomato from the same market. So it affects everybody down the line. That is one thing. So in fuel, the problem we have in Nigeria is energy or fuel generally has been taken over by cartels. They decide what they sell to have their sumptuous profit, make 100% profit, because the institutions are not doing their work. DPR and all these PPPR, they don't do their work. They have to regulate. NNPC outlets, okay, with what we call NNPC filling stations, they sell at the regulated price of 185, 195. That's what it's supposed to be. Why are others not selling the same? Because they have formed a cartel. If you talk to them, they will come out with a threat. Government should be able to break it and have a useful, a law enforcement.
Now, the question is,
okay.
the NNPC you are talking about and other private filling stations, do they purchase, do they purchase at the same price?
NNPC is a major importer. Others buy from them. Mm-hmm. Then they license whoever they want to go and there import. So NNPC sell to them, I think at 160 naira per liter, all right? For them to go and sell and make their own profit. Then some of them will buy and make what we call bulk purchase to their tank farms. Then other sellers will come, they sell to them at another higher price. So the price is not regulated. So they form a cartel, say, okay, this is what we are going to be selling. And
is that always the case?
Yes, so that is why we cannot have a comfortable price.
The thing there is, this thing is actually,
it's an artificial price.
This is saying is theoretical. It's not practical. In the sense that NNPC also gives to that independent marketers. But if NNPC is giving to independent marketers and independent marketers are getting it easily from NNPC, these guys will not have any choice but to come down on their own price. But when an independent marketer will want to get product from NNPC, it takes him months, 2 months, 3 months. He has to go to the office, try and do 1 or 2 things before he can be able to get his product. It doesn't make sense. What happens, the independent marketer has to now go to these people. Whatever price they give to them, they buy.
That's because the government has to come to control the price.
Exactly. So if NNPC is because they are a body to help to checkmate these people, and if they are doing the needful and they are doing it well, imagine when people were selling as much as 300, some people were still selling 198.
Yes.
How come? And you will be asking yourself, you that are even selling in your filling station cannot even buy at 198. So these are some of the lapses in the
these are
system of the
issues
government.
that need to be resolved.
It's not independent
They
marketers.
are
Okay.
Nobody can never be stronger than the government.
Yes.
Anytime the government wants to
Government
do
should
what
do
they are
its
supposed
work,
to do,
regulate it.
you understand?
Against these cartels.
When they want to do what
And we
they're
have
supposed
the
to do, they will do
body
it.
set up by government to
Yes.
regulate the price and all that. So it means
They
that
are
they are
not
really
just
not
doing their
doing
work.
their job very well.
Yes.
They need to sit
So
up
these
and
are
see
the
what they
little
can do
ones
so that we
to
can
do
correct
to-
some of these anomalies.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let them leave it. It's just like the way you say, let it be an open market. Let anybody that has
Yes.
capacity to go and do it, let him go and do it. All these things we are talking about will end. And you'll be surprised that the amount you are selling for will not be selling that amount.
So we can
You
sell
sell
it
it
for
low.
100
We
naira
don't
per
have
litre.
reason.
You'll be surprised.
Selling
You'll be surprised.
fuel above
And
200.
another thing is
We don't have any
Nigerians.
reason.
And another
No
thing
matter
is
the
this.
highest you can ever
Subsidy or
sell.
no subsidy?
Well, you know, I hardly believe in that word subsidy, but assuming it is subsidized, by how much and it needs to be explained. But let's assume they are subsidized, which means if they had not subsidized it, we might be buying at almost 400 per litre.
Okay.
It may be possible that even if you subsidize it, if you remove subsidy, the price may not even have any significant shake if government is honest.
If the government is
All
honest.
right. Okay. So it's about government honesty and about the regulatory bodies doing the right thing to make sure that some
Yeah.
of these anomalies and some of these issues are addressed. All right. This is where we are bringing it to an end. The program, Good Morning Anambra, today, where we talked about the removal of fuel subsidy and its implications. And we want to say a very big thank you to you for joining us on the show this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
All right, and my name is Chidima Oranwa. Thank you so much. And with me here,
Okay, Chidima, before we go, but I think your ear twitched when you had 300,000 increments so that civil servants can be able to afford.
why not? Who doesn't like money? I want more money in my bank account at the end of the day.
And
all right, we are leaving you with another street walk where we interviewed some respondents, and here are the things they said about the implication of the removal of fuel subsidies. Bye.
Well, you have to see it from two angles. The good and also on the other extreme is also good. Monies that would have been used to invest in education, infrastructure, health, and other basic services for the ordinary people has been plunged into subsidy. You understand the last amount that the NNPC said, although it has raised a lot of question marks on how true such an amount is. So if Nigeria were to plow such amounts honestly and diligently and effectively into infrastructure, healthcare, and what have you, security services and what have you, of course we'll have a better climb. And we must understand it from this aspect. But on the other hand, I mean, if you now remove subsidy, you should look at the ordinary man. What palliatives are you offering? I mean, if fuel is now $7.50 per litre, it means that a ride from my place in Commissioner's quarters to perhaps a school in Ikoka area will be costing about 1,000, if not 800 naira. I mean, how many families can afford that? It also means that you have to spend more to fuel your tank and what have you. But then we have the LX, which is the Dangote refinery, and the Port Harcourt refinery, which is also coming on board. So hopefully this will help, reduce the suffering that the ordinary man would suffer. So I cannot say, because on one hand we've spent so much on subsidy, and these are funds that should have gone to other sectors. But on the other hand, I'm also feeling for people like us, like myself, like yourself, like every other person. So I just hope that Dangote refinery and the Port Harcourt refinery will be able to come up on stream and save the day.
The subsidy, I don't see it as anything based on Nigerian government are working or not working. They are not working anything. That fuel subsidy they are talking about, they are just using it to intimidate some people. This fuel subsidy now By next year, they will still talk about the fuel subsidy. And the one they did, you don't see any benefit on it. If I am to say, I will say that Nigeria should remove that subsidy. They are not subsidizing anything. As far as a Nigerian, we are learning democracy and we are putting it in practice. Why democracy? We are not for democracy. Nigerian government, they are not practicing any democracy because they are learning from the white world, the English people, but they are doing more than the English people. The bad things are more of the good things.
Removal of subsidy, we have been talking about this for a long time. One, there is merit and demerit. But for me, personally, I would say I will support the removal of the subsidy. Because if you look at the last budget we had, the subsidy alone, the money for the subsidy alone is more than some sectors that they appropriated money for the last budget. I think is more than the money they gave out to the health sector or something like that. So for me, I will support the removal of the subsidy. But removing it now will be a big problem to us because some people are projecting it to be, when they remove the subsidy, the fuel price will move to, I think, around 720 or something, which will bring a lot of high cost of living to Nigerians. At 280, 300, see what you are suffering. Now you remove the subsidy and it goes to 700 and something. It will be a big, how do I put it, a big hardship on Nigerians. So for me, the government should provide a backup plan so that when you remove this subsidy, let's know what we are falling back on. You don't just remove the subsidy and hey, what happens? You leave us handicapped. So for me, I support the removal of the subsidy. But for now, I think it's the bad time to remove it. So for me, the government should please find a contingency plan or a backup so that when you remove the subsidy, we have something to fall on, so that hardship will not kill Nigerians.